Welcome, everyone. I'm so excited to tell you about this podcast. It's called The DK Project, but it's really The Darren Show. The DK Project is a radio show, but without the radio. So sit back, buckle up, and enjoy the ride.
Let's go! Welcome back to The DK Project. Zooming in today, we've got the Good Wives Guide to True Crime Podcast ladies. It is Colleen, Fancy, and Christina. They chime in about what they've been up to, their podcast, their Murder by Design, which is a YouTube channel that they've got. These guys have been investigating the Gypsy Rose Blanchard case forever. So kind of a true crime story here. Pretty interesting stuff. You're not going to want to miss this one. The ladies were great. Don't forget to tell a friend, subscribe, and give us a review. Everybody enjoy the show. Today's episode of the DK Project is brought to you by Dentcraft, located in Wayzata. Dentcraft, the paintless dent repair that everyone needs. Get over there and see Donnie and the boys. They do an exceptional job. They definitely are the leader in paintless dent repair. You can check them out on the web at dentcraftpdr.com. That's Dentcraft with a K, PDR.com. Or give them a call, 952-473-8000. If you've got some dents or dings that you don't want to waste the time at the body shop or the money, go see these guys. They're very affordable and very fair to work with. They'll have your car looking like new in no time. So go check them out. Tell them you heard about it on the DK Project. That's 952-473-8000. Welcome back to the DK Project. With us today, zooming in, the Good Wives Guide to True Crime Podcast hosts. We've got three of them on the line today. This is a new thing for the DK Project. We haven't had three on in the past. We've got Colleen McShane, Christina Aliperti. Did I screw that up? And Fancy.
Close enough.
All right. So how are we doing today, ladies?
It's doing good. How are you?
It's great. Are you guys all over the country, or are you all in the same location?
No,
all
we're
over
everywhere.
the country.
All over.
So how first of all, how does this all come together now? You're doing a podcast, and you're doing a YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is called Murder by Design. Tell me how this all starts. How do the three of you get together and get to where you're at now?
Well, that's a long story.
There's got to be a story.
A long story. Well,
it all starts with Gypsy Rose Blanchard.
It does. It all starts with Gypsy Rose Blanchard. So this is Fancy, and I kind of started this whole thing. I'm a writer, a producer, an actress, and I happened across the Gypsy Rose Blanchard story as it was breaking. If you guys don't know who Gypsy Rose Blanchard is, basically, she is a young lady whose mother made her pretend that she was sick her whole life. She enlisted her online secret boyfriend to kill her mom. They did kill her mom, and she got caught, and she's now doing 10 years in a prison in Missouri. So that's how, I started on this project of wanting to work on that. I came across it, and I thought, well, that would make a really neat TV series. And so I reached out to Gypsy's stepmother through Facebook. I thought, well, I'll try it. She answers. If she doesn't, she doesn't. And she did. I worked on it with her specifically about a year and a half by myself, just kind of going through, talking with Gypsy. I went down and met the family. I took my daughter with me, who's one of our partners in the company that owns all of this, Matt Ginger. But I kind of went down there. I started off, I got in over my head because there is over, 5,000 to maybe even upwards of 10,000 just medical documents in this case. And so I started thinking, oh my God, I need some help. So I had been introduced to one of our other people that works on the podcast with us is Mama Ty. And she comes in, she gives a recipe of the week. And she gives us a French word of the day because, we're serving up, we serve up true crime one dish at a time. That's our thing. So she was actually best friends with the woman who was killed, Dee Dee Blanchard, all through high school and junior high school. Well, she was a nurse. So I asked her to come on and start looking at these files because I didn't know what I was looking at. I'm not a nurse. I'm not a doctor.
Right.
I can read it, but and I can understand some things, but when you're talking different levels and I had no idea what the heck I was looking at. So I brought Titania on, and then after about 6 months, Titania said, "Hey, Fancy, I'm gonna need some help still." So I put out a call, on the internet. We had grown our site on Facebook overnight because we did a couple of interviews with In Touch Weekly on the Gypsy Rose Blanchard story. And so that's how I met Colleen and Christina, was through me asking for help. And then the rest is history. We decided to do the podcast because the TV series was just taking forever. And we're still waiting, with everything we thought we might have had it worked out, but then COVID hit. And so we're still waiting again.
So how long ago was this? How long did this all come together?
So I started 4 years ago, and I think Colleen and Christina, you guys have been with me, a year and a half or 2 years now?
I'm about a year and a half.
Yeah, about a year and a half.
Mm-hmm. All right. So then, is the goal to get this on regular network TV or cable, or is it a YouTube thing that we're sticking with YouTube?
I think eventually, we'd love to have a network television, a story, because we are the experts on the subject. We know more than anyone else out there, probably including and up to the family and Gypsy herself, because of everything that we've done to try and investigate this. Like I said, I've spent 4 years now. The girls have spent a year and a half with me investigating. We'd love to have a TV show, but we released a 13-episode podcast on the Good Wives Guide to True Crime, our season 1. And, that's pretty inclusive of what we know, but there's still a lot that, we just can't. There's so much in this story. It's such a twisted turn, crazy story that, we'd love to have it. But, we still want to continue on with the podcast. The podcast has changed in our season 2. We have now kind of gone into, we interview a lot of law enforcement professionals, psychologists, people connected to different cases. So we've branched out a lot. And then on Murder by Design, we really try to get into understanding the mind of these people, these killers, like what causes them to do what they're doing.
Well, and that was going to be my question. You did your whole first season on Gypsy Rose Blanchard. And she was convicted, right? It's not like it's an open case. It's just getting into what was behind all of this and how it all transpired. Mm-hmm. Is that what your first season is about? She was convicted, right? You said she's doing 10 years.
Yeah, she's doing 10 years. But she pled out, whereas her one person in this, her co-defendant in this, he did not plead out. He went all the way through to trial. He's doing life without the possibility of parole. So she pled, and they gave her a really nice, cushy sentence based on mitigating circumstances. Because, all the medical history in this, like I said, there's thousands and thousands of documents and there's absolutely nothing wrong with the girl. She is completely 100% healthy, never anything wrong with her.
Really?
Her mom just concocted all of this. And from an early age, she kind of participated in it. I don't know if that was out of fear or just a necessity or what, we'll never really know the story there. But, so she's done, I think she's on 6 years out of 10. She gets to come up for parole here, and I think another, 2-3 years.
Wow.
And through all of this, like I said, I brought the girls on. We got even more involved in this, and we were doing really well. We were very close with Gypsy's stepmom and her family, and even Gypsy herself for a long time. And then we received the actual full interrogation video of Gypsy that nobody had seen before.
Wow. How do you get that?
Funny
Connections.
thing. Connections. I mean, we were doing a piece with Oxygen. I asked for something. I said, hey, do you have this? Because we can't get it from here, here, and here. And she said, oh yeah, I requested it from where Wisconsin, where Colleen is.
Right.
And, I got it. And so she sent it to me. No one had ever put it out publicly in its entirety. And let me tell you, seeing that, we were the first ones to release it on Murder by Design. It's still up. You can see it. It changed every single one of us that were working on the team and working in this, because we have other people that were working with us at the time. It broke all of our hearts because it really changed what we really felt and thought about the Blanchards and Gypsy herself.
So there's a lot more to this than what meets the eye, is what I'm gathering.
This story is deep and deeper and deeper.
So this is the one that got you into it. Like this is where we said, hey, let's give this a run, and because you have a filmmaking background, right, Fancy?
I do.
So
I
this
do.
is kind of in your wheelhouse.
Yeah, like I said, I thought, oh, this is funny. I was in the middle of writing a crime drama at the time, and I saw this come up and thought, oh, well, that'll be quick and easy to do. Everybody will know the story. It'll be easy. We'll just get in there. We'll tell the truthful story that, maybe because, even when you do a documentary, because the documentary Mommy Dead and Dearest was just about to drop at the time. But, when you do a 2.5-hour documentary, you're not going to get the whole story. And so I wanted to make sure that we got the full truth and nothing but the truth. And that was kind of what I told the Blanchard family when I started off. I said, look, I'm not going to tell the nice feel-good story. I'm going to tell the whole thing. So if there's anything weird or strange besides what's already weird and strange, I might need to know. And, I thought I got the truth until we really started digging. And the more we dug, the further we dug, and the further it took us to dig more. And it became very evident that the story that had been told out in the public was not the story, the whole truth, and it was a very sugar-coated thing. And I had no idea what I was getting into. And I don't think Colleen or Christina did either when we all started this,
So a couple questions come to mind. Number one, who's paying for all this? Like how are you, traveling and doing all this research? And I mean, is this self-funded? Do you have investor? I mean, how does all this happen? And where do you go from here? What's next?
Self-funded.
Self-funded.
Oh.
Self-funded. Yeah. Self-funded. I paid, the first time when I went down, I paid for my trip down. I drove down to Louisiana because I'm in Kentucky. So it wasn't too far. It was, 12, 13-hour drive. I was like, all right, I can do that. And I had friends that lived in New Orleans. So I stayed with them. They opened their home to us for a week and a half so that we could go and do this. And we spent, a lot of time with the Blanchards, especially Christy, because Rod works offshore. So he was there for a couple of days while I talked to him. But then, I spent a lot of time with Christy, the stepmom. And then she took me and I got to meet the other side of the family, which was Dee Dee's siblings, which let me tell you, hoo-wee, that is a really interesting family. Interesting family.
So they just took you in and said, opened everything up to you. That's just crazy.
Yeah, you would think. And and I truly thought I was getting the whole story there for a long time. And they're not bad people. I don't want it to come off that we think that they're bad people. I think that they are normal people who were put in a very precarious situation with all of this. And I think that it's a small, when you say small town, it's like blink and you're through it, At one point in time, one of Dee Dee's nephews was explaining to me how to get to his aunt's house. And he was telling me a story about going down this road. He's like, are you going to go down this road? And he's talking in his Louisiana accent, and he's like, you're going to go down this road and there's going to come you're going to see the sign and you're going to be going about 70 and it's going to say 55. And he's like, and that is a firm, and I'm sorry, 50. He's like, that is a firm 50. You don't do 51. You don't do 52. It is a firm 50 or they will get you. Yeah. And that's how tiny this town was. It's like, little itty bitty, and you blink and you miss the sign and you end up with a ticket. And sure enough, I was driving down that road the first time we were there.
You didn't listen.
I saw that sign and I hit my brakes almost immediately. And sure enough, if there wasn't a cop sitting on that other side, and I was like, well, thank you, Bobby Petrie, because I just avoided a ticket. So,
wow.
But it's tiny. My friend who lives in New Orleans was like, you're going to Cutoff? You realize that's like the end of the earth, right? And I was like, no.
Wow.
But it's pretty remote. So, it's a very small town, but yes, originally they were very hospitable, brought me in, fed me, everything. And we were very close for 3 years.
Wow.
And then I think it was a combination of things. Gypsy ended up with an online fiance who caused a lot of trouble, who's no longer around. And then, the discovery of this interrogation video, which really solidified for us that she was not as innocent and sweet and a victim, all the way.
So it writes itself is what you're telling me.
Yeah, no, it does. Yeah. It does. It absolutely does. And like I said, it just, every time we thought we were to the end of this deep cavernous pit, we would open up a new door, and it's like, oh shit, what is this?
Yeah. There's more. And wait.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And so I'm in Wisconsin. So I'm actually in the same area, just one town over that Nick Godejohn, Gypsy's boyfriend at the time, who came down to Missouri to kill her mom, is from. And I'm just about, I think I'm 1 year younger than them. So I'm up here. And so that's kind of where I got involved, because they were looking for some nurses up here. And I'm a registered nurse. I also teach nursing at a local college, university, and I'm in my nurse practitioner program. I graduate in one semester. And so I started coming in for the medical aspect of the case, and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of pages of medical documents, and having to really analyze things, questioning why doctors did so many surgeries and procedures and prescribing hard medications that weren't needed.
Really?
Yeah. And that weren't needed. And then knowing that when she was younger, from when she was a baby until about around Hurricane Katrina, is when she was playing or getting more of the abuse from the medical aspect. Mm-hmm. After they get into Missouri and Gypsy is now a late teenager, is when Gypsy becomes more of a willing participant in the abuse or in the medical fraud.
Well, we did find something going all the way back to when she was 7, didn't we, Colleen, with the pooling of the stuff in her mouth?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
And so she was like pooling saliva in her mouth for scans and to make it appear that she wasn't able to control the saliva in her mouth because she had her salivary glands removed.
Wow.
But she was doing that. And at 7, that's where we're like, was Dee Dee bribing her, do this and I'll give you this.
Wow.
Or if it was do this or I'm going to beat you. But after she became like a teenager is when there's less of the serious medical procedures. There's still some surgeries and procedures, but they're not as intense as the ones that she had when she was a kid.
So are these corrective, or are these she's choosing to have these surgeries, or what's going on there?
It varies. A lot of eye surgery. She had tubes put in her ears. She had a hearing aid. And she tells me, all the way back to when she was 5, when she got the hearing aid, she was the first kid in Louisiana to get the miracle ear. And she remembers that. And she remembers her mom, weaseling her way back in with them to do the test, because her mom's not supposed to be back there. It's for this exact reason. But Dee Dee convinces them, to let her back there because, oh my God, Gypsy can't do this by herself. She'll never be able to do it. And she remembers her mom telling her, I'll pinch you, each time you should hear the note or not hear the note. And Gypsy went right along with it, wore hearing aids for years and years and years, didn't even need them, didn't turn them on. Like, it's crazy. But,
wow.
Some of the surgeries, yes, it's very invasive. But, when you watch her testimony at Nick's trial, because she testifies for the defense at Nick's trial, which is really, really crazy. You would think she was going to be called for the prosecution, but she gets called for the defense. And she is asked 2 questions, and one of them was, when did you know you weren't sick? And she said, I always knew I wasn't sick. And then the next question was, well, when did you know that you could walk? And she said, I always knew I couldn't walk or that I could walk. So, she got her first wheelchair at 7.
Wow.
Or I think it was 7 or 8. So, I don't have the documents in front of me to remember the exact dates, but she was very young, and she always knew she could walk. There's even tales from the mother's side of this family that said she would, get up and she'd jump on the trampoline. Her mom would come back outside and she'd fall down. She was at a hotel with them at one point in time, and her mom went to go get ice, and she was like jumping from bed to bed. She heard the key go in the door and she immediately fell over, but they didn't ask questions. Like, nobody ever questioned it. And that was one of our big things. Like, how do you see all of this and you don't know?
So
like,
did you know all this going into it? That it was this huge, lifelong story of madness, or did you just go into it looking at the murder and all this opened itself up?
I mean, I had an idea. I had been in some forum boards. That's how I actually met Christina. I was in a forum on a group on Facebook. And we picked around every idea. You'd heard all the different things from, your armchair detectives and everything. And so I knew some. I had no idea what I was getting into when you realize that nobody in this story is a reliable narrator. Ooh. Literally nobody. And when you get into it, you also realize that no one has the truth. So everyone has bits of the truth. No one has the truth. And some of them have more truth than they're willing to tell. That makes them, because they don't want to look bad in the story. Wow. And the truth of the matter is they're all good and they're all bad in the story. Like, there is no perfect guy or perfect person in the story. There's no like, oh, that's the good person. Oh, okay, we got that. No, nope. All of them are just a little bit, off in all different ways. And we discovered that along the way. And I mean, and it even got worse. Like, so not only are we dealing with this family, all the information, just the vomit of information that we are dealing with, we ended up with people on the internet that started stalking and bullying us because they had a difference of opinion.
Whoa.
And it got really bad. That's where, like I told you last year, we suffered some really catastrophic times. We thought it was probably the worst year of our lives. And then 2020 decided to say, ha, we raised you one.
Yeah, right. Wow.
However, 2020 has been really great for us as far as growth goes for the company and for the true crime stuff that we cover, because we've closed our door, a little bit on Gypsy. It's a jar, there's room for it to come through. I think at one point in time, the three of us had decided, we were like, that's it. We're never speaking about it again. And then, going through what we went through, all the different things that we talk about this all in our 13 episode podcast. Like I said, when I first started that podcast, the idea was to do three episodes.
You just couldn't get it done.
5,
it just kept going.
And then it became 9, and then it was 13. And I'm like, well, that's it. I'm cutting off. We're done. I can't do this anymore. I'm tired. You're tired.
It's emotional.
It was emotional.
Well,
so that first season is extremely raw. It's not anything that we would have originally thought we would have put out for this, but I felt like the more raw and truthful it was, the more credible, it helped us be, because we just gave everything. We were like, that's it. We're going to tell the whole thing, and that's it. And we're going to leave the cards on the table and walk away. And so
I think for us, and this is Christina, I think for us, it was such an emotional roller coaster ride, because all three of us went into this with so much passion for Gypsy and for what was done to Gypsy. And she didn't know half of the things that she went through. She didn't remember. So we wanted to put together something to help Gypsy understand exactly what happened. And I think most people, when they hear about this case and they watch a documentary or they watch the act, they take a black or white side to it. It's either Gypsy was the victim 100% or she's a criminal. She knew exactly what she was doing.
Wow.
But with this case, it's not black and white at all. There's so much gray in the middle.
50 shades of gray.
It's like 500 shades of gray. It's just so much. And we all went into this with, I fought with family members, friends, where I was so defensive of Gypsy. And as we dug deeper and more things came out, it hurt us so badly because of how deep we were involved and how much we cared about her. So when everything came out, it was a blow. The first time we saw that interrogation video, when I got it from Fancy. I couldn't talk. After the 4 hours, I messaged her and I was like, look, I need a little while. I can't even talk right now. I can't believe what I just watched. I was in shock. And I think all of us had that, where we could not believe that, we got this one side of the story, and as we dug deeper, it was just more and more and more, and it changed so much. And I think a lot of people need to realize that it's not black and white. There's a whole lot to it, where everybody's a victim and everybody's a villain in some way.
So
and it's also, I want to add to that, like, okay, so people think of it as a Munchausen by proxy case. If you don't know what Munchausen by proxy is, it's a disorder. It's listed in the DSM-5, which is the book that all psychologists, psychiatrists use to, explain mental disorders. But it's very much in a weird category, because it's not really a like classic mental disorder, because there is no like reasoning for it. There isn't anything that causes this. There's definitely signs. There's definitely patterns of behavior that these women, generally it's women. And basically they're caretakers who somehow get either glory or fame or, notoriety from taking care of these sick children, or they're people that they're taking care of. Sometimes it is elderly. It's generally children though. And they take care of these kids, but they make them sick. And if there's another case that I believe is more, very, very classic Munchausen by proxy, it would be the case of Lacey Spears. Very, very sad story. She basically poisoned her son to death by giving him salt.
Wow.
And it was crazy. But this case is the one case, like, okay, so it started off, we're like, oh, it's a Munchausen by proxy case. But as you get into it, you begin to ask yourself, is it really? Like, because there's so many things that don't fit within this category. And it could be Munchausen. It could be what's called malingering, which is more for fame and fortune, as opposed to like, the God complex or the hero complex. And it's funny because we were watching, the biggest experts on Munchausen by proxy talk about this. Well, when we reached out to them to talk about doing our show, because when we originally pitched the idea of doing a a drama series that was a scripted series, we wanted to do an after show with panelists from different things, one for prison reform, somebody from Munchausen by proxy, all these different things that we wanted to bring to light. Well, I found out from the experts, they had never even looked at the files. They had never spoke to Gypsy.
Wow.
So they're making this determination just based on the fact that it was medical abuse in their mind and what they know about Munchausen by proxy. And I said, but what if it's not a case of Munchausen by proxy? But it is. I'm like, but I don't know that you know that. Like, there's a lot more to this. Like we said, it's not just straight, oh, it's Munchausen by proxy. Absolutely. It's that case. And that's the end of it. No, this goes really, really deep, like beyond what anybody would ever understand. And I held out hope, for 2.5 years. I asked for that interrogation video. I was given every reason under the sun why we didn't have it. At one point in time, it was that they lost it. The defense attorney lost it. Then it was, HBO, when they came to make Mommy Dead and Dearest, they took it, and they won't give it back to me. So I fought, I tried to help fight HBO to get it back. But HBO now is like, well, we don't have it. We just have what we were given.
Are they aware of what it is? Are they aware of the craziness, or is it just sloppy?
I don't, at this point, I believe that it was intentionally withheld because it changes the narrative. So when I got it, I didn't get it. Like I said, I didn't get it from Greene County because they refused. They said, we won't give it to you. The police department said, no, we're not releasing that because of Nick's still appeal that's going on, so we can't release it. Well, then I finally found out to ask for it from Wisconsin, got it from Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And then when I see this, I had held out hope that at some point we had seen pieces of it, and I thought to myself, okay, there's got to be a point where Gypsy turns and she finally tells the truth of what happened to her with her mom and all this stuff. And so I watched for 4 hours waiting for that moment and then realized it was never coming.
Wow.
And then so she lies and she lies and she lies and she lies. And he basically, the investigator tells her he knows she's lying. He knows she's lying. She knows she's lying. He gives her every opportunity to come out. And then eventually what she does is she turns and she throws it all on Nick as if she did have anything to do it, that he forced her to do it. He hated her mom, blah, blah. And when that moment came, my mouth dropped and I was like, okay, well, there's still another hour and a half of this. So it's still going to come forward,
Wow.
and it doesn't. You end up at the very end, he walks out and he tells her, I can't help you anymore because you won't tell the truth. So I'm just going to have to go now. And you're going to be, you're going to be arrested and you'll meet with your attorney and everything. And there is a part where she lays down on the ground in the police station next to the door, trying to listen to what the officers are saying outside. So they come in and they ask her, Chip, what are you doing? And she goes, oh, well, I was just trying to find out what was going on. I'm just very scared. And, and he's like, okay, well, you need to sit up in the chair, and she's like, well, and then at this point, now she's been questioned for 4 hours. Never once did she say, how is my mom? Never once did she say, I would like a lawyer. Never once did she ask about Nicholas. Now he asked about her in his interrogation video, but she didn't do any of those things. And then immediately at that point in time, she looks at him and realizes, shit, I'm really caught now. And she, with not even a second's thought, goes, I'd like a lawyer, please.
Wow.
No, which means she knew the whole time she could ask for that lawyer, and she didn't.
Wow.
She thinks she's
that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Christina.
They had a planned alibi that they were like a story that they were supposed to give the cops, that her mom had kicked her out and he came to pick her up. And in his interrogation, he's literally out loud saying, well, I don't know what's going on. I'm not sure why I'm here. Her mom kicked her out and she called me to come get her. So he's basically going along with the story, and she never once uses that. And that was the story they agreed to tell the police if they got caught.
Wow.
So it went from feeling like, okay, in the beginning, I'm like, no, they had a plan together. She was trying to protect him as well. And in seeing the interrogation video, it was like, wow, she never even attempted to go along with the story that they planned on. She threw him under the bus once she knew it was bad for her. And that was just it.
And then when you couple that with the text messages between them for years, there's years and years of text messages. When you look at it all together, and then you look at the medical files, and then you look at this and you put it all together, it becomes very clear what it is and what it isn't. And it isn't what has been portrayed. So when we did our podcast on that season, I titled it Gypsy Rose Blanchard, America's Sweetheart Murderer, because that's basically what they've portrayed her as, this very innocent, she didn't know anything. She wasn't educated. She didn't get to do this. But when you learn from her, when you find out who she isn't like that at all. She puts that on for a very good long time until that second that you piss her off. And then she will pull out, she called me the C word at one point in time.
Wow.
She accused me of trying to destroy her relationship when all I was so close to the family that I looked at her like one of my daughters, and I was like, if this was my child, I would tell her the exact same thing I'm telling you right now, and why I'm concerned for you. And I feel like I have a right to say that because I'm more than just a storyteller here. I've become part of this family because I was so close to them.
Wow.
And then I realized maybe I wasn't so close, maybe I had been bamboozled, and that was a hard realization. It took weeks, sometimes months. And I think that we still battle it every once in a while, because you can turn a page in this story and you can go, oh, I get it. Okay. So that's that. And then you turn the next page and you go, oh
nope.
Wait, no. And then you turn the next page and you're like, but wait a minute. And then
There's
the
more.
next page, there's more,
But then you finally get to the end of it. And what now? Like, how do you say, okay, we're closing that chapter and where do we go? Or do things start to fall in your lap because you've kind of got a following now and other cases come up? I mean, how do you determine what the follow-up to the Gypsy Rose project is?
Well, I can answer that. I don't think we'll ever fully be done with Gypsy. I think it's something that we'll always talk about because it's so fascinating, and there's always something new to say. As in right now, when we started, I decided I was going to sit down and write a book, and the girls are going to help, and so Mama Ty, who is looking through all the medical records again, she started compiling them year by year, piece by piece again, so that I would have all the documents real easily to go through for the book.
It's that time again, folks. Time to enjoy summer. And what's more summer than ice cream? The Lost Lake Creamery is open. We have made some changes for your safety during these difficult times, but we still have 24 flavors of ice cream, shakes, malts, and root beer floats. Check out our new website at lostlakecreamery.com. You can bike, boat, walk, drive, however you want to get here. We are located at 5575 Shoreline Drive, just off the Dakota Bike Trail in the Harbor District of Mound, at the end of the Lost Lake Channel on the north end of Cooks Bay of Lake Minnetonka. Open every day. Stop in and see us today. And remember, ice cream fixes everything.
And Titania, Mama Ty, was looking through everything, and we actually came across something that we had known, but it hadn't dawned on us as how significant it was. So there's an entire 2 years of time missing from all of the medical records, all of anything. Like, they go from Missouri, or from Louisiana when Katrina hits, they get airlifted into Missouri, and then in 2015, and then they don't get their habitat house in Springfield until 2017. And there is, I'm sorry, do I have the time? No, I have the ones wrong. I'm sorry, 2005 to 2007. So they leave Louisiana in 2005, and until 2007, there's nothing. There's literally no records anywhere. There's no medical stuff. There's nothing happening. Yeah, we don't know. There's a 2-year gap, and we have speculations. I can tell you that I what I can say as a mom of teenager girls, Gypsy was 15. I think that maybe there was a time of, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm not doing it anymore, and you can't make me, and I want to have a normal life. And I think something happened in 2007 for her to decide to go ahead and all right, I'll go to Springfield, but I want a real life, and maybe she told her that. Maybe she said, well, we'll move to Springfield and we'll get the habitat house, and eventually you can, meet friends and move out and whatever. I don't know.
Wow.
We'll never know, because I don't think that anybody's going to, but we're looking into that period of time. So that's something that we're still following forward with. But like I said, I don't think Gypsy will ever fully leave us. I think we thought that was going to happen, but it's just not, but of course, now we have the new season that we've been doing, both on Murder by Design. Colleen and I do that together, and that one.
Where
is
did you
more
go
about,
next?
We're doing a lot of things. We've been working with law enforcement professionals. We're working with a Bundy survivor to tell her story. We're looking into other things. I want to look into. We're working with Todd Matthews from NamUs, who's the former director of NamUs, to look into missing persons cases. Wow. And we're just going to keep going. There's definitely a lot of different ones that have piqued our interest for me. There's the Delphi murders out of Delphi, Indiana, who are 2 little girls that have been, that were murdered 3 years ago in a very small town that we should have been able to find out who did it. And it's happened for 3 years, that nothing. So we're looking at doing some sort of documentary on that, so there's a lot of things that we're looking at, and we just take it day by day, so.
Oh, that's fun. It sounds like you've got a lot of options. I mean, obviously with everything going on, how has the current status of My Fair State helped your podcast? It looks like you've got a bunch of YouTube stuff about Mr. Floyd out there. What are you finding on that? Were you doing some in-depth research of the disaster that is Minneapolis?
Yes.
So what we've done is, we have regular guests come on pretty much every month, talk about cases, including Cheryl McCollum, Joseph Scott Morgan. And so we have a whole host of our favorite people who come and talk to us specifically about their expertise. And so we had them all on pretty much that week that the George Floyd case happened
Okay.
to talk about the different things. So Justice Scott Morgan walked us through the autopsy and both of the autopsies that were done. Cheryl talked about the arrests of Derek Chauvin and the others.
Yeah.
We had Stephen David Lampley come on and talk about the difference between protests and riots and the response of police officers. And so
how has the
we have
response
had
been?
all of them.
What'd you say?
How's the response been?
From police officers or from our people?
from your people about the the cover, or what you're doing with it and the reporting that you're doing, because it just seems like everything is just so chaotic right now, and everything is I drove through there today, that area where all the rioting and all that was, and it's just gross to see what's going on and how that area has become. So it's always interesting to hear people's reaction to what transpired, and there's so many difference of opinion, and it's not it's just like what you were saying with the Gypsy case. It's not black and white. It's not you're here and there.
And we talk about that.
And we do talk about that, and I can honestly say, at very least, all of us here today, and every professional that I've talked to, pretty much everybody agrees that Chauvin was absolutely 100% in the wrong, and that he's not a representative of what the rest of the police force is.
That does seem to be a common denominator there.
That can be, but to be fair, to be honest with you, I can honestly say our audience has paid less attention to watching those videos that we did than they have the videos that we've done on the Vallow case or the Leticia Stout case. So I can say that maybe our viewers they are turning, they either don't want to hear about it, or maybe it's too hard for them to hear about it. We have differences of opinions amongst ourselves, even, that we try to, we try to be very fair with each other, and we love each other as friends, so we try to, respect the fact that I don't have to see everything the same way as Colleen does, and Colleen doesn't have to see everything the way as Christina does, so we try. But there is something that's amazing that's come out of this. And there's actually two things. I want to talk about something that we're working on, but then I'm going to let Christina talk about something that she came up with that kind of complements what we're doing. So in the very first interview we did about this was with Cheryl McCollum, and Cheryl McCollum is the Cold Case Research Institute founder.
Okay.
They just worked on, so Cheryl just worked on the disappearance of Don Lewis, which is, if you don't know who Don Lewis is, that's Carol Baskin's husband. And he disappeared many, 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 many years ago. Mm-hmm. And Tiger King brought light to that. And so they were asked by the new sheriff down there to open the investigation and look at it as a cold case. So that's how, we started talking with her. Well, she came on, and she was the first person that we interviewed about the George Floyd case. And it was during the mass rioting, just horrible. The world was coming to an end, and it was is absolutely scary. And in fact, she actually is also the co-host of CSI Atlanta and is a CSI investigator down in Atlanta right now. She also walked the Ahmaud Arbery case crime scene with Nancy Grace.
Oh, wow.
So she's done a lot. So we talked with her about a lot of that. And she, at the end of it, one of the things that we asked her was, how do we, where do we go from here? How do we change? How do we fix this? And her answer really was, that in all things that love wins. And then she suggested this, and we just thought this was the greatest thing. She said, what, guys, what we should do with your podcast and with us here at the Cold Case Research Institute, and we'll try to bring in some of our other friends into this, is why don't we make a shirt or some merchandise that says, hashtag love wins, and we'll create a scholarship fund. And the college-age students can enter by sending in like a 30-second video talking about how they lead with love and what their educational goals are and who they are.
Very cool.
And I thought, oh my God, this is the greatest thing. Because she said, that's the only way we're going to win this, is by having meaningful conversations, watching people, the police listen to people, the community listen to the police, have meaningful conversations to change, and so we created this in the honor of peace, and ushering in peace and trying to do something good out of this. So we do have that. It's over on TeePublic. And if you go to our Facebook site, which is facebook.com/truecrimewives, you can check it out from there. We have a link to it. You can go on over and hit it up. There's cups, mugs, shirts, sweatshirts, stickers, everything.
Wow.
Hold on.
Dogs.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay.
Got some yappy ones.
Yeah, I've got yappy ones. So there's cups, t-shirts, hoodies, stickers, anything you could possibly want to put #LoveWins on, it's there. And a portion of the proceeds from those sales will definitely go to the scholarship fund. And then we also have a GoFundMe also on our Facebook page that all the portion, the proceeds of that will go. So we're looking to try and raise at least $5,000. If we raise more than $5,000, then we'll look at doing more than one scholarship. If you want to enter to win, you can send in your entry to goodwivesdish@gmail.com. And like I said, 30 seconds, tell us how you lead with love. Send in a little bio about yourself and your educational goals. We will be playing some of those videos at the beginning of our podcast, at the beginning of our YouTube. So we're really excited about those.
Wow, that's great.
And then when we award it, we'll let people know. And if it goes really well, we may continue it on to do more. But that's really what we're hoping to do. We wanted to find some way, to make something good out of this crazy mess.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like a great idea.
Well, and then Christina has also kind of spearheaded another initiative based on the Love Wins campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so along with the Love Wins campaign, we're also launching an organization that is tentatively called the Gale Force. And the term Gale Force is used to describe a strong, fierce wind. The acronym GALE stands for Good Apples of Law Enforcement. Usually when we hear about any incident involving wrongdoing by a member of law enforcement, they're generally referred to as bad apples, which leaves a lot of people asking, where are all the good apples?
You're right.
And we know they exist, but we don't get to hear from them enough. And that's where the Gale Force comes into play. It would be a safe space for those good apples to unify and take action against the bad apples. We believe that good outnumbers bad in all aspects of life, and those numbers are where the Gale Force of fierceness and strength come from. So when good unifies, bad will always lose.
Wow.
There's lots of issues in the law enforcement profession that need to be rectified, and we believe that the best way to resolve them starts from within. There's what we call the blue wall of silence, which is an informal rule among police officers not to report on a colleague's misconducts or crimes.
Right.
We believe it's time to tear that wall down. Officers are often punished if they break that wall of silence. An example of this, we've been hearing a lot about her officer, Carriel Horn. Back in November 2006, she stopped another officer from putting a suspect in a chokehold, and she was fired after 19 years on the job, and she lost her pension because she intervened.
Wow.
Also, the stigma that goes along with members of law enforcement seeking out mental health care needs to end. Studies have shown that members of law enforcement are less willing to seek care because of embarrassment and shame. Now, keep in mind, this is a high-stress profession with a higher suicide risk than other professions. There have also been studies that indicate that if an officer does receive support from their unit, they're much more likely to seek help when it's needed. We believe that good members of law enforcement far outweigh the bad, but we also believe that the system needs to be changed to give them a louder voice without having fear of retribution or desertion by their colleagues or superiors. And we hope the Gale Force can be a first step in giving these officers from all across the country support and a way to come together and say that we're not going to stand by and allow anyone to tarnish this profession that we've dedicated ourselves to. And we're going to clean the barrel one bad apple at a time.
Wow. That's awesome. You guys are on your way, man. That's really cool. You got a lot going on. Outstanding.
We're busy people.
Well, we're running long here, so we gotta bring this thing around. Where can people find you? What's the best method to get to find the best way to contact you guys? Give us your social media. Give us all the pertinence so people could check it out. I'm looking at the Murder by Design YouTube site right now. I'm going to jump into that Gypsy Rose project tonight. That's on the list. So what? Tell us what the best method is.
Okay, so you can find us on almost all the social medias: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at True Crime Wives. So that's like, the hashtag or the, Facebook.com/True Crime Wives. You can do that on any of those. So Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You can listen to our podcast at truecrimewives.buzzsprout.com if you want to find it directly. Or you can go to pretty much any platform. We're on Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, Google Podcasts, at
Pandora.
Pandora, at The Good Wives Guide to True Crime. Just search it up. You'll find us. It's a black background with 3 little housewives around a table. So you'll find us there. And then Murder by Design, obviously, is over at YouTube. So it's youtube.com/murderbydesign. And I think that's it. Like we do have our store and everything, and we are working on getting our full website up and going. It should be up sometime this week, so you guys will be able to find that on any of our socials. We'll probably list that, and you guys can go there too to see what we work on that isn't true crime, because we do have a full 100% full production company, which is an all-woman led production company. We work on projects that we feel have high social impact. So we do have a high count of true crime projects that we work on, but we also have, some movies, some dramas, some TV series that don't revolve around true crime.
Wow.
What's the name of that company currently right now? Mad Ginger Entertainment. So MAD. And then ginger, like the color of my hair, entertainment.com. So, and that website should be up pretty soon. But yeah, we're working on that. You can find us on IMDb. You can Google me on French, Fancy Macelli. I'm all over IMDb. And if you want to see more of what we had to say about Hulu's The Act about Gypsy Rose Blanchard, just go to In Touch Weekly, search my name, and you will find numerous articles, because I did an 8-part series with them debunking each one of the episodes as to what was and wasn't truthful inside of the episodes. And I've done a couple other follow-up things with them too. So we're kind of everywhere.
Wow. Sounds like it. It's huge.
And then if you want to email us, just drop us an email at goodwives with an S dish, which is like serving up a dish, at gmail.com. So goodwivesdish@gmail.com.
Perfect. Well, listen, Colleen, Christina, and Fancy, we can't thank you enough for all the time. We're going to check in on you down the road and see what's been going on and see what your latest projects are. So thanks for the time, and we will talk with you somewhere down the road. Thanks, ladies.
All right. Thank you
for having us.
That's it. That's the end.
That's a wrap.
Read the shtick.
That's a wrap for today's episode. Don't forget to subscribe and tell all your friends. If you'd like to reach out, you can use the studio line at 612-504-6500 or by email, the DK Project Podcast at gmail.com. And of course, there's always social media at the DK Project Podcast. Thanks for tuning in.